Are you starting to think about what your word of the year is going to be? I had, as I was reflecting this time last year on what I wanted my word for 2025 to be, the thing that was coming up for me the most was around flow. That word, flow. I wanted my life to feel easeful. I wanted my everyday to feel easeful. I wanted to move throughout the year with ease. And this is actually the first year I didn't write down any goals. I had goals. I just did not pen to paper. I want this specific thing to happen. But I did make a vision board, and that I made my vision board, printed it out, of course. It's on my wall right above my desk, and like desk setup. So I see it every single day. I see it anytime I sit down. Um, I also can see it from any point in my room. And as I was thinking about what I wanted my life to feel like this year, flow was the word that came to mind. It's crazy. After burning myself out for 3.5 years, like having just chronic burnout, going on medical leave from work from that burnout because I needed to stop this fast moving train that just felt like I was headed towards just like a life that wasn't aligned anymore. And so it was a big decision to take medical leave from work. It was like one of the scariest things, honestly, especially as a now recovering people pleaser. But at the time, it was suffocating, trying to play all these roles and just feeling just like out of alignment. And just health wise, my lowest with my mental health. So going through one, just like the decision to take leave from work, it was now looking back the best decision I made for myself. I think it will be the moment that I'll look back on that, wow, I chose myself for the very first time. I chose myself over everything. Work. I was like hustle boss. That was like my identity for a lot of my 20s. And as I was like approaching my 30th year, I definitely was like, oh no, babe, we gotta change course here because this is not feeling aligned. What do I want to take into this new decade? What are habits, mentality, mindset, lifestyle? Like, how am I going to call in all of my heart's desires if I'm not in the right course, like I'm going on the right course? So went on medical leave 2 summers ago now, I guess, because like last summer is now this past summer. But 2024, summer of 2024, um, that was the hardest and best summer of my life. 3 months dedicated to me, what I want, healing my body, healing my nervous system. Actually wrote an ebook about my journey and how it led to a spiritual awakening, and that I just felt I unlocked like this inherent worthiness that like nothing, no job, no amount of money, nothing is going to give me a sense of worthiness out that is outside of myself. And I reclaimed my own worthiness for myself, and um that's inherent in me and inherent in everyone. Um so it's really changed my outlook on just how I view hustle culture and grinding and just like killing yourself to make a life. And I just don't align with that anymore. And so coming out of that season, naturally, the word of the following year is ease and flow and this was the first year I just wanted to see if I trusted my intuition, what would, like, I wanted to prove to myself that I could do everything I wanted, but without the pressure of by this date, by this time, I just surrendered. And that is what flow feels like. And it, so I was thinking about, okay, what is your word of the year then? Like, how do you want to feel in your body for next year? What is the word that embodies that and that your soul just feels like, I need this. This is going to like make me feel safe, make me feel loved, make me feel like I'm worthy. What is that word for you? This year it was flow. And so I was able to get a beautiful amount of my goals goals accomplished, but without sacrificing myself. This was the first year that I let things happen without force and no timeline. So, like, for example, shifting jobs. I knew I wanted to make this happen. Didn't exactly know when. I mean, I kind of knew when because I did my birth chart and wrote down specific dates. Um, that like there were two dates in particular that were going to be dates where I could easily have career shifts, and I leaned into those dates, and that actually helped me a ton. Mostly with the ease part and the surrender part and the how of it all. And I think that's some of the magic and frequency of manifestation is the fact that you don't need to know the how. You have to kind of like decide and declare and go from there. Because half the time we have these goals and we haven't committed. We haven't declared, we haven't said, I am doing this. This a version of me has this already. So yeah, let's do it. Let's ride. So I wanted to shift my career, did that without force. Wanted to write my ebook. I honestly allowed myself the creative space and freedom to create when it felt the most easeful. When I felt like I was forcing myself to sit down to do it, it just blocked my creativity altogether. So I, put some parameters around it, but I really didn't. I was just like, this has to get done before the end of the year. I would like this to get done by the end of the year. I flowed with it when it came. So, like, there was a portion where I started to like make the structure of the ebook and start to like populate my thoughts. There was one phase of the year that I did that. And then there was another phase where I was thinking about, okay, are these all the stories that I want to tell in this ebook? Does this solidify my strategy around it? Set it down, picked it back up when I was in flow again. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to get this done. And I sat down to write in August, September timeframe. And it was done like it took me like a few weeks. I would say maybe like 4 to 6 weeks. Like when I was in that, like, okay, I actually want to write this now time frame. But I let myself play and I let myself explore without pressure. And honestly, that's actually how I create best. And I learned that about myself this year. Um, so yeah, I mean, what's your word? My 2025 word was flow. It came to me today that the word that I want for next year, 2026, is overflow. Like, this 2025 year was to show me what is possible with this new alignment, making space, creating with ease. And now I think I can take 2026 to be the year that I really embody that and step into this and know that I have a year of practice and that I'm a year closer to staying in alignment, staying in practice, and in this identity where work is not the center of who I am. It is it is an avenue where I get to express myself and show up as like the human that I would like in that capacity. So, um, what are you thinking about for your word for 2026? What was a word that kind of embodied this year for you? And maybe you work backwards. Like if you didn't have a word that you started the year with, what is a word that you ended this year with? That feels like, wow, that's exactly like how this year felt. And maybe this next year is one of a little bit more intention. Um, I came off of a beautiful coaching call with one of my clients last night, and it just solidified for me how getting to play this role in people's lives is an honor, is a gift. I am so grateful for the trust that people allow me in to give them the safety and the support to dream out loud and to pause this busy, busy life to actually like unpack, is this the path we want to be walking? And then celebrating when it is. And one of my clients wanted this year, her long-term 1-year goal when we met this time last year was, I do not want to have another year like past years by the end of by December 2025. Last night we were able to celebrate a year of working together and how her life is different. Then the investment in being intentional about like, this is what matters to me. I am going to remove anything that doesn't align with that. That was this year. That is so beautiful to be able to recount someone's growth back to them. Mm, just, I live for this. This is literally what I was meant to be doing. And um, it just feels very special being able to be trusted for an entire year to help someone change their life and then them actually do it. It's just so cool. It's just so cool, man. And I feel like next year is more abundance, more overflow of what this year was with like we're just getting started. And so I wanted to offer, if you have questions going into as you're thinking about reflections for for this end of year and how you're reflecting on going into the new year, please drop some comments of like questions that you want answered, support with. I want to hear about the needs of my community. You can also join our Sunday Sadie's uh, blog gang because we I like drop a newsletter every week on Sundays, and I'm going to be answering questions from my community about what is top of mind for them going into end of year reflections and start of year goal setting. So please contribute. Yes, that's all I have for you today. And I hope that as you're thinking about your word for 2026, it feels like It feels like how you want to feel in your life and doesn't feel like something forced. Um, Sit with yourself, get quiet with yourself, and also stay alert, stay aware. My word came from being open-minded, as I was listening to, an affirmations podcast, and wow, it just hit me like, that's the word. I was so excited this morning as I was getting ready. I was like, overflow is the word. So you're the first to know that that's my word for 2026. And I hope you feel joyful and excited, and I hope you allow your word to come to you with just as much ease.